Welcome everyone. Today I will guide you around the lap in Monza in the beautiful Ferrari 296 GT3. So, as always, especially in qualifying, our flying lap already starts in the last corner. So, what we try to do here is we try to open up the corner as much as we can. So we start the lap here already and then just floor the car and start to open up our steering and run wide. Why do we do that? Because with that line adjustment, we essentially are able to just gain like maybe a couple of more hundreds on the straight, as we will have slightly more top speed. So when we approach now turn 1, we already want to position our car as close as possible onto the left side, and we try to, as early as we can, to watch out for our braking reference point. In this case, it's approximately the 130 meters, so we try to aim for the 100 meter board as a reference and brake just before that, like here, approximately. We arrive here in 6th gear and shift down as quick as we can to first, so we can also use the engine braking. It's fundamental that you focus on not turning in too early, because if you turn in too early, you might clip the apex curb in a way which will bounce you off, and then you can't make the second part of the chicane. So it's really important to turn in late. And then your target is to clip the curb just from the side here, so it will not only help you to position the car better for the left-hander, but it will also pull the car even more around, so you have like a rotation boost, which helps you a lot to open up the left-hander. But be careful, don't cut it too early, as I said. And then we need to do like a small throttle blip with our right foot, so we can get the car back into the right position. And then we start to turn in gradually for the second part, and as early as we can, we try to then floor the car and open the steering. We need to be here really cautious of the grip we have, because the more steering you have applied, the less you can be aggressive on the power. So you need to really try to be cautious with your throttle application. You want to do it, of course, as quick as you can, but bear in mind, if you can't open the steering, you will spin. So especially for that corner, it's really useful to look into delta. So we'll have a look there. And here you see, if I zoom now in the corner, you see really well how we trail brake into the apex and then do this throttle blip to also stabilize the car, just stop the rotation and start the next phase of the corner. If we look here into the data section, we see also really well, if we zoom in here in that area, that we even have like a small blip on the brake pedal to just get a bit more front load. So we have like this initial bite for the left-hander. And as I was talking about previously, it's really important, if we focus here on the green line, that you apply the throttle as quick as you can, but as I said, you need to also open up the steering at the same time. So as you see here in the blue part, we open the steering simultaneously as we go onto the throttle, and this allows us to get this perfect exit. So let's continue now with the rest of the lap. This turn 3, if we want to call it, is pretty easy. It's just flat out, so nothing really to worry about here. And now we already need to start preparing for the next corner. So our reference point is like this, LED indicator, which is now flashing yellow, which is perfect, because we start to brake just after that. You could also use the 100 meter board as a reference. It's just like your personal preference. Some people want to still see the reference point when they need to brake. Some people also are fine when, pass it and then just brake after a certain time, So this is just important to have here in your mind. We have the same approach as in the turn 1, turn 2 chicane. We need to brake really long in a straight line, because if we don't do that, we will clip the inside curb too early, and this will bounce us off from the line we want to take. So also here, really important to be really long in a straight line. Then you have a late turn in. You try to clip the curb slightly so it also pulls you around and brings you to the left like that. And then you just straight line your line over the second curb. You can definitely use it. Sometimes, depending on how aggressive your car is on the throttle, you might need to also do a small lift to keep the car settled over the curb. Entering now the first lesmos, we want to position our car as much as possible onto the left side. We try to use the orange marker on the right side as a reference point. We try to brake just about it here, and then we turn in. And really important, you want to floor the car as early as you can. So as soon as the corner opens, we want to be on the power and accelerate out of the first lesmo. And to just show you how important it is, we will have a look again into delta. Look at the first lesmo. This should be here. And you see here really well. We are on the brakes. And as soon as we reach the apex, we re-floor the car here. You see that? Bam! Straight on to 100% as quick as we can, if the car allows us to. If it's not that, fine with the throttle acceptance, if we want to call it like that, we need to be a bit more gradual there. But if the tire and car allows us to do it, we try to use that, of course, because we can then accelerate quicker out of the corner. And you also see here really well, we have almost neutral steering, so this shows you that we are exactly on the limit of the car. And if we jump into the driving tab quickly, we also see here really well how we basically touch the apex here and then run wide. So that's really cool to see. Let's continue now with the second lesmo. Braking marker is here, the 50-meter board. I urge you guys to also find another one, because, or in some races, essentially what can happen is that someone goes off and they basically destroy the 50-meter marker. So definitely try to use a different one. In some sims, you have like another wall starting there on the right, which is not here, the case. So what I also sometimes essentially give as an advice for LMU, it's a bit more tricky, but if you look now on the left wall there, you have also again the orange marker. So if you want, you can also use this as a reference point. And if this is too far for you on the right, you can try to basically remember the gap you have here, the distance from the orange marker there at the apex to where you are now. So this can also be then your braking reference point. But those are the only two which come up to my mind, or which I would use. If you have any other, reference points, you can leave them down in the comments. But we brake at the 50-meter marker into the apex, and then as soon as we reach here the inside, also go as early as possible onto the power, run wide. And be careful. This is, for example, still valid. If you essentially, I can go for that into the third-person view. If you, though, start to run too much here, also too close to the gravel here, this can cause the game to give you a cut. So be careful there. As we approach now one of the most difficult sections, which is Ascari, I would already recommend to you that even here you already try to position the car as close as possible to the right, so you don't need to worry about that later on, because what happens now is a lot of quick corner combinations, so we need to be on point in each of those. So reference point for this one is again the orange marker on the wall there, or you can use this tarmac stripe here below. And if that doesn't suit you, also the 100-meter board, because this one is indestructible, so it will stay in that position. We arrive in 6th gear, shift down in 3rd or 4th, depending on the car. And then your target is to cut as much as possible as you can do here, because the more you cut, the more you open up the exit of the section. So you will be able to carry much more speed through the entire section till the braking zone for the parabolica, So to just illustrate that to you, let's jump back into Delta and have a look into the Ascari section. You see really well. We brake here in a straight line, trail into the corner, and then if we zoom even more here in, we try to cut as much as the track limit allows us to do essentially. And afterwards, we keep the tightest line possible. So when we arrive basically on the left-hander here, we can just open up the steering and drive straight over the curb. If we go into the data section quickly, you also see it really well here. So we almost have entire time almost like a neutral steering lock, and if we turn, we have like really low degrees. So this is just important for you to understand that the biggest objective you have here is cut as much as possible on the first left-hander and then just straight line the car through the entire sequence, which would look like that. You cut here as much as possible, be careful with the track limit, it's the white line, and then if you've cut enough, you can just straight line the car here. You can even clip here the curb and then straight line here, run wide, and then you're done essentially with this car. Now for the last corner, just try to get your focus back. It's really important to get this right, because even if you have a perfect lap until that, you can lose everything in the following corner. So position the car as close as possible to the left side. We use again the yellow LED indicator for the flags as a reference point. So when we pass this, we brake, and now we try to brake actually into the corner, because if you see here already, the corner is cambered. So we want to turn slightly earlier than normal into the corner, as we want to use this camber as an advantage. So this, because the more camber you have, the more speed you can carry through the corner without any negative consequences. So this is why we do it here. And when we arrive here on the inside, we are going early on the power. Then we try to run wide, and then especially in the quali lap, we want to bring the car back to the inside, so we travel a shorter distance, which will gain us lap time. And this is a lap around Monza. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to compare your lap against the one we use, make sure to check Delta out. You'll find also the setups there. If you're wondering how a quick hot lap looks around here, you will find here the videos. So make sure to watch them if you're interested. Up until then, see you in the next lap guide. Bye bye.